So let's talk about some impressions, some definitions. This is the basic vocabulary we need to start into insights. And this is from SproutSocial.com, which is a social media monitoring dashboard. Fine product, and it starts with a free license, so something well worth checking out if you get the time. SproutSocial.com. So a few key ones. This is about impressions. So impressions are the total number of times any Facebook user, fan or non-fan, could have potentially seen any content associated with your page in their newsfeed or the ticker or by visits to your page. A long-winded way of saying that it's the number of times people saw your stuff. So for example, I see in a friend's newsfeed something that the Royal Ontario Museum has posted. Well, that's an impression. Then if I go to the page to see more information about it, that's a second impression. If I share that with somebody to somebody else, that's an impression. Now, you might be asking, okay, how do fans and non-fans see something from a Facebook page? Well, quite simply, if I share it as a fan and somebody who's a friend of mine who's not a fan sees it. So for example, using that Royal Ontario Museum example, if I see something, that's an impression. Then if I share it and one of my friends who's not a fan sees it, well, that's another impression. You don't have to be following the page to see things. Second one, users. So this is the number of unique users that have seen content associated with your page. Now, unique user means, for example, that one I just used about the ROM. I'm one user, but I saw something 3 times. So that's one unique user, 3 impressions. Some of these other definitions here you can look at in your own time. The ones that I'll point out here are organic. So that's the number of times posts were seen in news feeds or tickers or visits to your page. This is unpaid content. So this is the stuff you create that you post to the page, as opposed to stuff that you turn into an ad, throw money at to boost, etc., etc. So down underneath you see paid. That's stuff that deals with sponsored stories, ads, etc. So that's impressions. Let's go on. Sharing. Now here's some Facebook language, stories created. This says a story on Facebook is created when a user likes your page, posts to the wall, answers a question you posted, RSVPs to an event, mentions the page, photo tags you, and a few other things. Basically an interaction. Facebook likes to call them stories. It's not really important why, but that's the language they use, and you may come across that. Users we've already talked about. And mentions. So I'll somersault through a few of these and go to the very bottom where it says mentions. The number of times people tagged your Facebook page in a post or comment over the duration of the report. Content. Reach. This is important. This is the number of unique people that saw any content about a post. So that's fans and non-fans. We've seen how non-fans can see things. But people often get reach and impressions confused. So we saw that one person, a unique for short, can see something many times. That is one reach, a reach of 1, impressions of 3 or 4 or 5 or however many. So reach is the total number of people that saw it. Impressions are how many times it was seen. So you really can't have impressions lower than reach unless there's a glitch. But you can have impressions much higher than reach if people see things multiple times. Engaged users, that's anybody who clicked in a post without generating a story, and we'll see more about what a story is later, plus the number of unique people who created a story. So basically it's anybody who interacted with a post. Talking about, again, more Facebook ease. Talking is the number of people who created a story from a post. So here's where we get into stories. Stories are created when someone likes, comments, or shares principally, or answers a question you posted or responded to an event. So again, an interaction. So people create a story when they interact with a piece of content. And talking, or talking about, is the total number of people who have created these stories, who have interacted. This gets us a little further down, if you go to the bottom of the page, to engagement. Now, engagement is a key metric. A lot of people have it, so it's important. And engagement is not a total number, it's a ratio. So engagement is the number of engaged users over the total reach. So for example, if 100 people saw something and 4 engaged with it, they created a story, they did something, it's a 4% engagement score, or ratio. I use this in my reports because it indicates how good we're doing with our content. Is it interesting enough that people will actually engage with it? That's when we know we're creating a relationship with our audience. So it's something you may want to consider for your own executive summary. So, having said that, we've got the basics, the vocabulary. Let's jump right in. So I'm going to spend most of my time on slides, just because sometimes Insights acts up, so we can't depend on it. So I created some screen caps, and I'll flip over to the Insights as needed. But to start, when you go into your Insights, and you'll see this on the Care for Dementia Parent page, the first thing you'll see is a time span. So you can see here, we can easily pull up 1 week's worth of data, 1 month, or 1 quarter. Or we have sliders. So if we wanted to find out specifically what was happening that caused a spike here, you drag the slider over. And then if you want to shorten that time, you can drag the other slider over. It's pretty easy. Or if you want total control, you just set start and end date here. Now you can only go back about a year. So for example, I pulled down April 2014. You can see, maybe not very well, but April 1 is grayed out. So the furthest back I can go is April 2, so under a year. We're looking at probably like 11 months. You can get data further back, but you'll need to export it. And we'll get into exports a little later. So the overview, this is the first thing you see when you hit the page. Over here, total page likes. It compares it week over week. So we have 10 new page likes. This is 100% improvement over last week. So you can see we're doing pretty well on this page. Total reach also is up, 80% from last week. You can see we've got some spikes. And then our total engagement is doing quite well. Likes has improved, comments, shares about the same, and post clicks has improved. So this is a quick snapshot. It's telling us the total health of our page and our marketing efforts. Because of that, it's a quick check you can do on a daily basis, or at least weekly. Underneath it, you have 5 most recent posts. Now you can pull down more posts by clicking See All Posts here, and keep going and seeing more and more and more. This is where you want to be spending a lot of your time, because there's a very simple formula for success on social media, which is do more of what works, do less of what doesn't, repeat. It sounds facile, it sounds too simple to be true, but it's actually the basis of a lot of sophisticated business methodologies like agility, lean startup, things like that. And this is where you find that information out. So you can see this top lines are reach and engagement for posts. So we can see this post here, Living with Dementia, got the best reach, 380. And it did really well overall. It actually had the best overall engagement, which is measured by post clicks in blue and likes, comments, and shares in purple. So we can see that this post got actually better clicks, but overall it had 31 engagements and this had 33. So this seems to be doing really well. You'd want to go in, click, and find out why that post succeeded so well. Or maybe for this one, why this one didn't. This is going to give us the information we need to make better decisions about our content, to do more of what succeeds and less of what doesn't. So I recommend spending some time here on that area, and seeing what works and what doesn't. Underneath that, we've got pages to watch. So this allows you to keep an eye on your competition. You can add pages that are like yours or competitors and see what they do week to week. You'll also get notifications of posts that do outstandingly well. So you can see this one has almost 11,000 likes and had some good engagement this week. 145 likes, comments, and shares, doing pretty well. And they're up from last week. Not as much as these guys in terms of new likes, but pretty well. So this allows you to keep tabs on your competition or your colleagues, and it provides a lot of useful food for thought for how you might want to evolve your content. Total page likes. Now you can see here, we've got a bit of a gap. This happens in Insights. There's outages, sometimes information goes missing, and you'll see this sort of hash line indicating that we don't have the data in Facebook Insights for that day. Not a big deal. Now what this does is interesting, because this shows us how we can start projecting results. So for your executive summary, you're going to set projective goals, the goals you want to achieve, number of likes, engagement rate, etc., etc. So you need to be able to take an educated guess about what you'll be able to achieve. And one way you can do that is very simple, just math. Now this isn't statistically rigorous, this isn't sophisticated, but it doesn't have to be. When you talk about setting goals, you really just want to take an educated guess as to where you can end up. So let me flip back to Facebook Insights. So I have a page here, and you can see as we hover, we can get information. So total page likes for February 15th were 2,845. For March 11th, they were 2,884. So let's see. If I wanted to say to my boss, well, I think we can achieve so many page likes by such and such a day, I can do some very simple math. So over this period, starting Feb 1, we had 2,829 likes. If you take a look at March 14th, we had 2,884. So we go from 2,829 to 2,884. That's 75 likes. So we increased our total likes over this time by 75. Now how many days was that? That was about 4 weeks, I think. So we went from Feb 1 to March 14th. No, it was 6 weeks. So over 6 weeks, we had 75 new likes on our page. So you follow me so far? We went from 2,829 on Feb 1 to 2,884 on March 14th. So that is a difference of 75 likes. We added 75 page likes over this time for about 6 weeks. So when you do the math, 75 divided by 6 is about 12. We're going to round down. So we're seeing about 12 new likes per week. So I want to project into the future. Let's say I want to know by June 8th. Pick a date. It could be June 1st, it could be September 1st, it could be whatever you want. You know that you're getting about 12 new likes per week. So all you need to do to project where you'll be is take how many likes you've got today, 2,884, figure out how many weeks in the future you want to project, and multiply by 12. So if we want to project 4 weeks into the future, let's say April 14th from March 14th, that's 4 weeks. We know that we're averaging about 12 likes per week. So we're going to add about 48 likes. Let's round it. Let's say 50. So 2884 plus 50 is 2934. So I would say to the boss, I estimate by April 14th, 4 weeks from now, we'll have 2,934 likes. So this is a really simple mathematical way we can start estimating likes, comments, shares, pretty much anything. You start with a period of time, end with the period of time, find the difference in likes, comments, shares, and divide by the number of weeks or days that have elapsed. And then you can find out how many you're averaging per day, per week. Then when you project into the future, you just multiply that by how many days or weeks you're projecting. Fairly simple. But it's a good way to get a handle on what kind of metrics you'd like to meet. So let's go back to our PowerPoint for a second. Okay. So, net likes. Underneath your overall total page likes, you're going to see net. So you can see this is telling a story. You've got your unlikes in red, the paid likes, and your organic likes. So in this case, we haven't got any paid during this period of time. No dark blue. You can see up here the key. We have organic likes, the blue. So you can see we're doing very well, Jan 12. But we got some unlikes here around the 23rd, and we were actually overall negative on the 29th, 31st. So although page likes aren't the most important thing to measure, they're useful. And you might want to try to find out what was happening on or about those days that caused those unlikes. Because you really don't want to go down in likes, you want to go up. So there's a few other things we can do on likes before we leave the area. And by the way, you can benchmark. So if you look on the right here, you can compare your average performance over time. We'll take a look at this a bit later. But you can isolate how you did on unlikes, organic likes, paid likes, or net likes on this period, which is about Jan 12 to Feb 9, versus the previous period. It's useful. So here's our net likes. And what I've done is I've clicked my organic likes, and I can see organic likes, I averaged 3 per day for this period. Last period, I averaged 4 per day. And I do that just by clicking here on the right. So this is going to give you an idea of how you're doing for a given period versus the previous one. Are you going up? Are you going down? Where your page likes happened is also important. So you want to find out where your likes are coming from so you can create more likes. Surprise, surprise. And on the graph here, you can see how many likes happened on your page in dark blue, how many came from mobile, which is that light blue, how many were page likes, the purple, page suggestions, which is important. So we've all seen suggestions that happen on Facebook about pages we should like. This is where they're coming from, in that yellow. And then others, which could be a lot of different stuff. But you can see most of our likes on this page are coming from on the page itself. So people see something and they like the page. After that, there's mobile activity. And then page likes. After that, page suggestions. So really, we're looking at increasing our page likes if we want to by focusing what's happening on page. Now, you can also zoom in to get some more details. So let's take a look here. Let's go back to our page. So if I'm going through here and I'm looking at what's happening, well, I see a spike here. I can click and drag. So you can see here I've clicked, and I can select a period of time to zoom in on. So I'm just going to zoom in on the spike and see what was going on. So in terms of likes, we can see that on the page itself, I got 6, page likes were 3, and then mobile were 1. So this is starting to tell us a story, and we're getting more detail. You can also hover and just find out. So we had 2 page likes, 1 mobile, and 4 likes on the page itself. So if I wanted to pull this out a bit further, I get more information. So we had likes on the page, content on the page essentially. Were 21 over this period, Feb 19th to March 6th. 8 were from mobile. 7 were actual just page likes, so liking the page, not the content. And then API is actually something you're not going to spend much time on. It stands for Application Programming Interface, but just so you know. And then 1 was through search. So again, that's just clicking and dragging. Or like I said, hover. Hover to discover. It's my cheeky key phrase. But it gets you a lot of information that's very useful. So let's go back to our PowerPoint. Another example of hover. Reach, the other big thing. So you can see on the page here we've got organic and paid reach. So again, we talked about organic reach being the stuff that you do that's unpaid, all the content you put up, and paid being the ads. So we're able to see here our reach for organic versus paid. Underneath that we have our likes, comments, and shares. Fairly straightforward, fairly self-explanatory. Now under that we have the dark side. You don't want to just measure success, you want to find out what's maybe not going so well in your page. One way you can do that is through things like how many people have hidden a post because they don't like it, how many people have decided to hide all posts, and how many have unliked the page or reported you as spam. Now luckily this page is doing pretty well. They had 1 hide post on the 7th of Feb, it looks like. And they had a hide all posts on the 5th of Feb and the 15th of January. It's fairly low. It's just 1 person. It's probably not worth diving into. But if you see people starting to hide posts more and more, you probably want to find out what's happening because you don't want to drive people away. So this is useful information. We keep talking about getting actionable intelligence out of our insights. So it's really not important whether you're up 1.5% or down 2% this week versus last. What's important is if there's an ongoing trend up or down. You want to get to information you can use that you can tell the management something's happening, here's what it is, here's what we can do about it. So 1 person hiding a post, not so important. 10, now you're talking. Total reach, very similar to the one we just showed you, which was organic and paid. You can see they actually look, well, this is a different time period, so it's not going to look similar. But it measures everything. Page likes, like ads, mentions, and check-ins. Page and tab visits. So we haven't gotten into tabs yet. That's for a future week. But we did identify what they are in the very first class and where they are on your Facebook page, both personal and brand. And you can see that this talks about the page and tab visits, the number of times each of your page tabs was viewed. So the timeline is considered a page tab because you can click it. You're automatically dumped into it when you visit a page, but you can go to another tab like photos And then how do you get back to the timeline? You click the timeline tab. So you can see here where most of the traffic is for this page. It's basically all timeline. We have some photo spike right here, and we have some info tab information. That's mostly it. We have likes here and a little bit of MailChimp. So the tabs really aren't an essential part of this page. Now one thing I will say is, as you can see down here, this is going to change from page to page. You don't all have the same tabs. So timeline and photo and info you kind of need. MailChimp, definitely everyone isn't going to have. You'll have others, photo tabs, different kinds of tabs. So what you see here isn't necessarily what you're going to see on your page. External referrers. These are what people clicked or what sent the traffic to your page. So this is important. Even though this is very low for this page, you want to find out where your traffic is coming from. This is going to help you market by isolating the people that are sending traffic your way, so you can either target them in ads or people that follow them in ads. You can reach out to them with some influencer outreach, things like that. You really want to know who your friends are, and people that are sending you traffic are your friends, generally. So in this case, we can see that it's Google that's sending the traffic. Posts. Biggie tab here. Don't forget to explore this area. When people go into the post section, let's go into it right now. Generally, people stop here. But you can see, not only do we have when your fans are online, but we have post types and top posts from pages you watch. So let's go back to our PowerPoint for a sec. Don't forget to explore. Notice also the information only goes back 1 week. So for the purposes of the assignment, you're going to notice that there's a section that talks about this one. You can only go back 1 week in this section. When your fans are online is very interesting. Now, if you have a lot of fans, you're going to see that the days of the week don't vary much. But if you have a very few fans, you might find out they have a preference for being online at one specific day of the week. Now, the times when they're online is actually really interesting. So you can see we've got a spike here for this page around 10 a.m. Then we have a real lull, so at 4 p.m. it's dead. We can pick up again around 10 p.m. Now, when might you want to post content knowing this? Well, some people might say right here, 10 a.m. But what happens if all your competition is hitting 10 a.m. too, because you have a very common audience? You might want to put your content a little bit before then, let's say 8, and catch them before all the competition gets them. Also, maybe if there's a lull down here, your competition isn't taking advantage of that. That's an opportunity for you. So as you go into these pages, into these insight pages, don't just leap to a conclusion. Try to apply some intelligence to what it's telling you. Maybe everybody else is seeing something similar to this. They're all piling on at 10 a.m. Don't be a sheep. Try something before then if you think it might achieve better results. Be intelligent about your business intelligence. And of course, hover to discover. So we know that 732 on average are there at noon. Now if you click here under post types, you can see what the most popular kind of post type was. Really useful, because you want to do more of what gets attention. So in this case, status updates get the best reach on average, and the best engagement. Now you can see photos get slightly better links, comments, and shares, but overall we're seeing better engagement and much better reach from a status update. So for this page, clearly you would want to do more status updates. And here are the posts. Again, we saw this earlier with the top 5 posts. Same situation here, reach and engagement. Now you can do a lot of interesting stuff here. So for example, you can see here these are all organic right now. This light orange indicates organic reach. But if you run an ad, you'll see this. Organic and paid. That's your total reach. Also, you'll see that you can share not only publicly, but privately. So the vast majority of your posts will be public. But somebody had asked on the Facebook group about creating dark ads or dark content for ads. Basically, this is unpublished content that only gets shown as an ad. That will show up as private here or unpublished. And you can also boost a post. It's a quick and easy way to make an ad. You can see in this case it was boosted. Now you can slice and dice your posts in many different ways. So if you click on, say, engagement, you can pull up just post clicks or likes, comments, and shares. You can also sort. So you can sort reach just by clicking it, and you can sort from lowest to highest or highest to lowest using this little arrow. If you click at the top under likes, comments, and shares, you can see there's all kinds of different ways that you can slice and dice this. So you can take your clicks, likes, comments, and shares, just likes, comments, and shares. You can show engagement rate. You can show the negativity, the dark side, the number of times things got hidden. So one thing to remember, when you click one of these things, you only go back about 15 posts. This won't let you peer back in time over weeks or months. You need to do that manually, and I'll show you how to do that. But basically, when you look at any of these segments, as we call them, they only go back 15 posts. So be careful, be aware of that. When you actually click a post, so for example, we go back to our page, you can hover on one of these and click. When you do, you'll get a detailed view of the insights. So for this, we can see how many people reached, and then it breaks down the likes. Likes on the post, and likes on the shares of the post. Similarly, comments on the post, comments on the shares, shares, and then shares on the shares. And maybe shares and shares and shares, although I won't show you that here, I'm being silly. And it'll break down the clicks. Number of clicks on the link, and number of other clicks. And also, you see a little eye in a circle here. This is your Facebook helper. So always, this is a screen cap, I can't do it right here, but always hover or click on these eyes to get more information. So in this case, we had 200 post clicks, 127 of them were the link, and 73 were other clicks. And then negative feedback. We had one hide all posts based on this. So somebody was either upset or didn't want to see it, they said hide all posts. So when you're looking at a video, you'll see this. Audience retention, views of the video at each moment. And then you'll see things like people reached, average duration, and number of views, and number of views only to 30 seconds. So it's really telling you about drop-off. You know, how engaging and compelling was the video? Did people watch it all the way through? Pages to watch. In this case, very bad. This page, I'm not saying what, because I've mixed up data from a bunch of pages during this report. They are not watching anything. So there's a real lost opportunity there. People, the last section, but probably the most important. This lets you know who your audience is. So I've deliberately obscured some of this, but you can see not only is it telling you age, gender, but it's telling you age and gender versus all of Facebook. So the Facebook average. So you can see the Facebook average is pretty consistent, male versus female. And this page is as well, but it skews slightly more towards the female than the male, compared to the Facebook average. And like I said, even though I've blocked this out for privacy purposes, you can see the country and the number of fans from the country, the city and the number of fans from the city, what language they use, and the number of fans using that language. This is going to let you know about your audience. Post information, people reached. The number of people your post was served to in the last 28 days is people reached. So this one was your fans. This is people reached. And again, don't forget to hover. Hover equals discover. So if you hover over this, it'll give you more detailed information. Women 18 to 24, 31.4% of people engaged, 28.2% of your fans. This is a bit of an uh-oh moment. You're going to get this on your pages because you need 30 people minimum, 30 fans, likes to get this data. Also, this can take up to a day to populate once you get that minimum number. This is important because despite the fact that Facebook wants you to share everything about yourself, all your personal information, it takes privacy very seriously. And one way it ensures your privacy is it makes you anonymous. So all this data you get for insights needs to be anonymous. It needs to be enough of it so that you can't pick out individuals and use it against them or to your advantage. So because of that, you need 30 minimum likes, and it's going to take a day to populate once you reach that. So don't be afraid if you see this. Now lastly, data export. I told you how, if you need to go back further in time, you may need to export data. This is a very rich set of data. You've got 3 different types. You can export data about the page, about posts on the page, or about the videos you put up. You probably spend most of your time on post data, because this is, again, that kind of news you can use, business intelligence. What are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? Also, this is useful for end-of-year reporting. So, for example, if you want to find out what the total likes was over a year, or did your engagement rate go up or down over a year, you'll export data into Excel format, you can see here, for a given time period, and then you'll operate on it. Or if you just want to keep your data for some reason, you want to store it, you can export. And you do that right here at the top of your Insights